On the first night, word of a new human spread like wildfire. A single female human, all alone with no others to aid her, just killed one of their own kind. "This is pathetic," exclaimed a raspy voice. "Let's just kill her already. She's just one little human." 4 humanoid figures all gathered around with an open area, each armed with fangs and claws, some big and small. Snow continued to fall from the sky, as it covered the surrounding wooden area. The air was cold as the temperature slowly dropped. "If we all ambush her, we can overpower her and eat her." "It's not that easy, you fool. You want to wind up in an icicle like the others?" says another. "This one's different from the rest. She controls the cold, the ice. It's alive. It protects her. It'll freeze anyone with ill intentions to harm her." "Then I suppose we have no choice but to evade her if we don't want to be frozen to death." "You're all cowards. Weak. I could easily slaughter that little wretch if I could get my hands on her," a demon with blades in his hair says. "Fool, this isn't about being cowards. It's about staying alive and not freezing to death," one growls, followed by a brief silence. "Figures I never liked my food cold anyways." Calamillas. On the second night, how lucky you were to find a hollowed-out wisteria tree to camp out in. It wasn't as roomy as there wasn't any woodland creatures or creepy crawlies. In addition, you still had enough food rations to last you for another 2 more nights, as you could take a deep sigh before reverting your gaze towards the moon. It's only been 2 days, and you really already feeling lonely. Figures considering you were the only one taking the final selection exam. Kojiro had told you that there were more trainees who were all younger than you, but either one of them were ready. Speaking of Kojiro, you really missed him dearly. It was miserable not having him with you. You miss his smile, his enthusiasm, his kisses, and his warmth. I wonder if he misses me just as much. You say to no one as you mindlessly watch the night sky. God, why am I so yawny? I just know he's worried sick about me. You say sadly, if only there was a way to let him know you were all right and safe, as you glance down at your engagement ring, the silver glistening in the moonlight. You then glance to the ground. Your eyes landing on a single Japanese calamilla shrub. You briefly recall Kojiro telling you just how much his mother, Ruka, loved calamillas, and how his father, Shinjiro-sama, would send her to banquet of them whenever he was gone for so long on a mission. Apparently, they symbolized a perfect love and yearning that it eventually gave you an idea. With your abilities to create snow and ice, you made it snow all around before conjuring up snowflakes in the form of calamillas. You prayed Kojiro would see them. Red and white. On the 3rd night, you continued your treacherous journey of survival, slaying any demon that dare stood in your way of the conjuring final selection. Your kimono, once white and elegant, now stained with red blood from the demons you slayed. Red also dripped from the blade of your spear. As you continued the treacherous trudge along the forest path, red mixed with white, making you seemingly appear like a maiden of death herself. Here on Fujisawa Mountain, you were considerably surrounded by beings hell-bound and bent on bloodlust. So why not try to look intimidating? Friend, on the 4th night you hopped from the trees, skipping from branch to branch, when suddenly you heard a strange squeaking sound. At first you immediately thought it was another demon, ready to pounce out of anywhere as you took a defensive stance. There was something rustling in a bush as they sounded quickly turned into frantic chirps. It sounded like a wounded animal as you cautiously peeked behind the shrubbery. Your eye-colored eyes widened soon as you saw a helpless little animal caught in a snare trap. It was a Japanese dwarf flying squirrel, as it hopelessly tried to free itself. Aw, the poor thing. You quickly noticed thin, sharp wire wrapped around its tail, cutting into it causing it to bleed. Not sitting there watching the creature suffer, you hurriedly made your way over to help it. The little squirrel squeaked frantically once it saw you, afraid you were going to kill it. Easy, little guy. I'm here to help you, you tell it, using the sharp blade of your spear like a knife. You easily cut the wire before carefully removing it from the creature's tail. Taking your obi, you gently wrapped the little squirrel with it. The poor thing cried and squirmed, trying to get away. You gently caressed its head to calm it down. It's all right, little guy. I'm not going to hurt you, you say. The little squirrel stilled, though still hesitant, as its big dark eyes glanced at you. You smiled, pressing your finger through its plump of its white and gray fur. Such a cutie you are. Remind me of Sindra. He's an owl, you say softly as the squirrel seemed to shiver in the fear of the word owl. Do not worry. He's not here, you giggled. Anyways, let's get you cleaned up and take care of your wounded tail. Dream. On the 5th night, at first, you were alarmed to find yourself immersed in warmth and laying against a firm body. That person holds you tightly against him, the both of you resting high up in the wisteria trees. Somehow, up here, the air felt heavy, free, and the clouds seemed more closer than ever. You glanced up only to see a smile brightly as familiar, red and golden eyes stared into yours intently. Irises shimmering with love and joy as radiate warmth. Ko? His name escapes your lips. Kojo intently perks up at the sound of your voice. Wild mane of flame-colored hair fluttering, forked brows raising a joyful smile that rivaled the sun's stretching his lips. Hello, my love, he greets you finally. Smitten, you rest your chin on his shoulder, cheek and nose nuzzling the curve of his neck affectionately, taking in his scent, which reminds you of baked apples. The sun is jealous, Ko, you say. Kojo tilts his head slightly in confusion, something he tends to do when he's confused. Why is the sun jealous, my sweet flame? He asks. Because I've stolen its flame, and I don't plan on giving him back. You tease happily, mentally scolding yourself for saying such a corny statement. However, Kojo was delighted as bright eyes beaming with affection, growing and flourish of blooming for you, before leaning forward to close the space between you two. And then you woke up, the wonderful dream fading as you remembered where you were. You felt movement in your lap and glanced down at your furry little friend, the little flying squirrel you'd rescued the night before, whom you named Fua, meaning Fluffy. Sorry, Fua, I didn't mean to wake you, you say, petting her, being cautious of her injured tail, which was wrapped in bandages until it heals fully. I was just having a dream. You smiled sadly. Closer. On the 6th night, you'd spent a majority of the day looking for food. Luckily, you managed to find some wild parsley and berries before nightfall. With the skills and power of your spear and the winter breathing, you cut down demon after demon that stood in your way. Miraculously, aside from sprained ankle, you'd only suffer minor scrapes and bruises. However, futile weight heavies upon you that soon you'll have to stop and rest. You occasionally felt lost as you trudged through the mountainscape with Fua safely tucked inside your kimono. Her tail was healing up nicely, and for the past 2 days, she's grown closer to you and even helped alert you whenever demons were nearby. Indeed, she was the best companion to have during this survival test. It was if you'd already had your own Kasei crow. Well, squirrel in this case. At least you had just one more night on Fusawa Mountain, and soon you'll eventually survive this hell, and would finally see your sunshine again. Yet you knew there had been worse to come. You just had to survive a little longer, just one step closer. Finally. On the seventh night, it's like you've been down the rabbit hole and back as it finally reaching the end of the final selection. You excitedly couldn't wait to see Kojo and to be in his arms again. More importantly, you couldn't wait to get home and take a well-deserved bath. You were dirty and covered in dry blood. Seriously, how could anyone go on for 7 days without soap or water? Although, you did manage to find a creek along your journey, but didn't risk it. Which, yeah. So far, you haven't encountered any demons today, which was good considering you're still exhausted. And due to your curse, the mountain of Fuisawa was completely covered in snow. Apparently, winter came early thanks to you. Perhaps the demons didn't like the cold? Whichever way, you were grateful. Just a little more, you whispered softly to yourself, your eye-colored eyes watching the moon slowly rise higher in the sky. Just a few more minutes till midnight, and you'll be an official member of Demon Slayer course. A strange tugging sensation pulls your heart as you continue forward downwards the mountain. You tripped only once, ruining your kimono even more, collapsing on one knee. You were out of breath. Your muscles strained as you got back up and continued onward. You were beyond revealed to see a familiar beauty of surrounding wisteria as you reached the main path that led you to the torii gates. It was midnight! You did it! You actually did it! You managed to make it through this particular ritual for 7 nights straight. With strength, will, and trumpet, you survived! An oar was present to you, and you wasted no time choosing one that fascinated you. Your eyes that widened as you spotted a familiar flame-colored pattern as a figure came into view. Overwhelmed with joy, you sprinted towards, gliding with a firm body as strong arms immediately wrapped around you and pulled you closer. Kojo was beyond happy to see that you'd survive. Indeed, you were a mess, but he didn't care much about how he holds you close to his chest. Welcome back, my snowflame. Welcome back, my snowflower. I missed you. No words needed to be said as you both captured each other's lips in a much-needed kiss.